And that open dialogue fixed something in my soul. Because now I think my next experience, I'm not going in with only these terrible experiences of doctors gaslighting me about pain, denying me even my at-home treatments, or blatantly thinking I'm exaggerating. Finally, I had a doctor that believed me and wanted to help me. And I think going forward, I'll have a new sense of calm if there is a discussion around it instead of immediately feeling triggered and going into a trauma response. Hello, and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Wildeson. This week is a comfort episode where you get to hear about the lore that has been my life for the last week. We've got some ups, we've got some downs, such is life as we know it. If you've been following around on socials, you know that I had some crazy fiascos around getting my IVIG. I'll give you the full rundown of what happened. I got Botox again. If you can't tell, I can move my forehead a little bit, but not as much. Thank God. Everyone was able to see my emotional expressions far too easily. And you guys know how sassy I can be and can get. I don't need people to read it on my face. I like to keep that in my pocket so I can use the sass when I want it. It just was really compromising my lack of sass, my composure. We'll go with that one. Anyway, so I'll give you the tea on Botox and chronic illness, my thoughts on it, if I do it again, how it's feeling, and was it painful. I also got it in my TMJ, so stay tuned for that. And Cooper and I had our first family planning doctor's appointment together, which was a pinch me moment. I can't believe we're in this part of our journey when for the last 6 years, it has been a hard no, and at times was a not ever. And we'll talk about that and how we're processing it actually very differently right now and how we're moving around with it. And I'm traveling internationally on Saturday for the first time while I'm in still flare state. Sadly, it's not for a fun reason. We had some family stuff happen, so heading across the pond, but I still get to be with my family, which is a happy thing. So I'll give you the TLDR of how I'm prepping differently for this trip than I have in the past. Overall, I want you to relax with me this episode. Sometimes we need to check out of reality for a little bit. At least I feel like I most certainly do. So I'm inviting you to check out for a little bit and come hang. We'll just yap on the couch together for the next 30. But before we dive in, quick housekeeping, you know the drill. Smash that subscribe button. I love saying that. I think it's so funny when YouTubers do it, but now it's become a regular thing that I say. And I hope that that is a catchphrase that people can start using in their life because it's fun. It's a dopamine hit to say, smash that subscribe button. You try it out right now and tell me how your dopamine is. Anyway, smash that subscribe button. You guys have been doing the Lord's work, leaving comments on episodes, writing reviews for the podcast, subscribing, sharing with your friends, family members, your friend's cousin who's in med school right now, helping this podcast get to the right ears. If you've had a, wow, I finally feel seen moment with this podcast, share it a little bit so somebody else can have that too. And if you're a true stan of this podcast and just want more, we rolled out exclusive content this year. We now have a Substack. It is a subscription that helps pay for the production of this show, which I had been self-funding. Fun fact, not so fun for my bank account. But you guys are helping support the podcast now, and I'm so incredibly grateful. So thank you for subscribing and helping this show continue on. In our Substack, you can find exclusive content like Q&A from Ask Alex segments or with our guests. You get to be invited to help us design or even model some of our merch. And when the app rolls out, you're the first on the beta testing list. There's also a chat so you can connect with everybody. We've got a trauma dumping thread, we've got a positivity and wins thread, and we have a questions I need help thread. And if you want even more community interaction than that, I've got you covered. We are doing quarterly Zoom calls where I get to see you and you get to see me and we get a yap. And if that all sounds like something you want, head on over to our Substack, link in the description below, and come hang. And as my thank you, as I always do, my Alex's picks for this week. I'm traveling internationally while still not feeling my very best. So these are my two must-haves, because I know if I don't have these things, I'm probably fucked on this trip. First and foremost, I have fallen in love with a new supplement company called Arrae. They have a constipation supplement. I will never use another one. That is my new golden ticket to freedom. So pack in the whole damn bottle to go to London town with me. You can use code Alexandra for 15% off at checkout. My second must-have for travel, you know what I'm going to say, it's compression. Comrad socks. Hello, I am going to be wearing that the entire flight. Cooper and I do not fly bougie. We fly in the back of the airplane because we are cheap motherfuckers. We're trying to save for a baby, so, you know, we don't really splurge. I love Comrad's compression socks more than any other compression brand because they have different degrees of compression. So if one compression is way too restrictive and painful for you, you can go down a notch or a tier. They have different sizes, different lengths of socks, which I really like. I need the most compression in my feet. That's where my vasculitis is the absolute worst. So I wear those compression socks daily. On the flight, I'm wearing my full compression socks. Don't worry, I know, a whole DVT thing. We need them. Of course, I have other must-haves that I'm traveling with, but I will be sharing those at the end of this episode when I'm telling you about how I'm prepping for London town, which I've never been to before, and I'm very excited to go to and see my bubba. And on that note, let's just talk about the last week because Jesus, I have so much to tell you guys about. Okay, so the first thing we're going to yap about is the Botox I got last week because so many of you guys DM'd me and said, WTF, my doctor said I could not get Botox, or said, WTF, I'm too scared to get Botox, or y'all said, how did it go? Tell me everything. So you know what I'm going to do. Tell you everything. So, is it okay to get Botox if you have a chronic illness? In my opinion, it's a yes. So many chronic illness and autoimmune patients actually medically get Botox to help relieve different types of pain. So if Botox is used in a medical setting, I'm pretty sure you can use it for an aesthetic setting too. But I will say, waving my arms, you should definitely talk to your doctors and make sure they're on board with you before you do something like that. Anytime I've done that, I have always cleared it with my doctors. And I'm going to tell you guys everything I've done. I have not done that much. I've never done lasers or chemical peels or anything like that, but I have done Botox and I have gotten lip filler. And candidly, I really miss lip filler. I thought it was like the most fun thing. I got lip filler in 2021, around that time, when I was a bit more round because of prednisone. And I felt like my lips had just fallen into my face. And getting lip filler made me feel like my face parts were even. That is the worst way to say that. Brain fog. Don't blame me. Blame it on the brain fog. It made my facial features look more even. So that's what hooked me. And then I think I did a second half syringe like a year later. Haven't gotten it since then. Probably need to get it dissolved. I have like little bits of it on my top lip still. And when I am in a flare up or having a little inflammation, those actually swell up. Like my lips get huge when I'm having a flare up or inflammation. That might be the only silver lining of inflammation and chronic illness. You do get that lip filler by inflammation. Just like you can get a body by Rituxan because one of the side effects is muscle toning, which is awesome. Other things that I've done is Botox. I got baby Botox starting my wedding year, so I was 24, which candidly was probably so early and very unnecessary, but I live in Texas. Everyone else was doing it, so I did it too. Then, about 2 years ago, I was like, I'm going to be fully granola. I'm not doing any of that anymore. And I stopped. And I regret that for 2 reasons. 1, I am very expressive in my face, if you can't tell already. And I'm also a pretty sassy gal. So when I'm talking to someone and they say something ungodly, my typical reaction would be raising my eyebrows. When I had Botox and my forehead was frozen, no one could see that I was doing that. It was like an internal eyebrow raise at them. Unfortunately, for the last 2 years, it has been very explicit when I have a what the fuck face on my face. So I'm kind of happy to have a discreet what the fuck again. I think that that's going to be very helpful in this current world. Second reason why I regret stopping Botox is because I now have wrinkles in my forehead and I hate them. That's a personal aesthetic choice. It's not necessary. It's a beauty standard. That is stupid, but I subscribe to it. When I lost all my prednisone weight, my skin was stretched on top of my eyelid. I have hooded eyes. That meant there was extra skin right there, and it's heavy as fuck on my eyes. So I'm constantly raising my eyebrows to keep my eyes actually open and my eyelids not in discomfort, which means I'll probably have to have a procedure to fix that sometime in the distant future, but I think it's far away. So anyway, the TLDR, I regret stopping Botox back in the day. I'm really happy to be doing it again. I got it in my forehead and in my TMJs this time. I had been putting off the TMJ injection years. Everybody said, it's so painful, it's so painful. Guys, we have chronic illnesses. Our pain threshold is just a wee bit different than the average person on the street. It was not painful. We have probably collectively all had far more painful experiences. So if you want to get your TMJ injected with Botox because you grind your teeth at night, because you're stressed or you're clenching because you're on prednisone, but you've been holding back because you're scared it will hurt, this is your permission slip. You're going to be okay. You're going to be definitely okay. The biggest arm waving. Find a good place with credible, safe estheticians. I found a place where a registered nurse was my esthetician, and that just really made me feel a lot more comfortable in her care because she knew about chronic illness and knew how to do things safely with me with my, vasculitis, which is very present on my face. I.e., if she had injected in the wrong place, it probably would have made one of those blood vessels expand, which happened one time in the past and forever left a mark on my face. Word to the wise, pick your injector diligently, as diligently as you would a doctor. I will be continuing to do this up until I get pregnant, hopefully this summer. Which brings me to my next topic that was last week's lore. Cooper and I had our very first family planning appointment with our family doctor, who I love. She's been seeing me since 2019. She's an amazing doctor. And when we told her that we had gotten permission from my rheumatologist to actually try to implant this year, she got happy tears. She was so excited, full of emotion for us because she's seen us go through all of these different setbacks and hardships and at times thinking we had lost the opportunity forever. That made me even more excited because it feels really good when other people think you're going to be a good parent, candidly. Dopamine hit. We need those. But what I will say, and I did not expect this, Cooper and I are handling the excitement portion of the possibility in different ways. I think I've fully let myself at this point now just be excited. If I have the disappointment and heartbreak, if it doesn't happen, I will grieve it. But you know what? This is the first time and maybe only time I get to try to do this, so I'm just going to be excited and lean into it. So that's where I am. Cooper, my sweet, steady man, is very temperate about this. He's like, if this happens, if this goes, it's going to be great, but it's an if. Alex, it's an if, and keeps reminding me and grounding me and, basically verbally helping me touch grass. He is doing that, I know, because we've had these setbacks in the past, and I love him for that because I think if it doesn't work out, he will be my steady rock as he always is. So if you are in this chapter too and your partner is not as outwardly excited with you, that's probably why. And instead of being frustrated or upset about it, say thank you to them. They are doing that for you in the long run. Bless those sweet partners. Our next step was a functional appointment, which I had this week, to go over what kind of things we can do to support my body to get ready to try to conceive successfully, I hope. And the next thing will be a meeting with our fertility doctor mid-February. It's with the same doctor that helped us get those 2 embryo babies. And he's kind of like the baby whisperer in Austin. So we're just putting it in his hands and God's hands and hoping and praying for the best. And then also doing a shit ton of stuff on the side that I am so excited about. Functional, lifestyle, med tapers, all those things. What's left on my to-do list to kick off this process is find an OBGYN and find an MFM. So if you live in Austin and have a good rec for that, please send me a DM and let me know who to go see. I'm doing my own research, obviously, we all do, but I usually like to go with word of mouth more than what I find on the internet. Because people only leave reviews if they're really angry or really happy. The normalized bell curve, the in-between, is just not usually there. So that's why you poll the community, in my opinion. Why do we need those next steps? Because although the fertility doctor will get us from now to implant, we need an OBGYN to take us from implant to birth. And an MFM, which is for high-risk pregnancies, to my knowledge. And although my family doctor is helping me taper off of my depression, anxiety, and pain meds, MFM is really going to be the one who knows what's safe, what's not safe, and if I can stay at certain doses of different things. So eager to find the right person for that while we're still in this pre-phase of the journey. I've obviously been sharing about this online, and you guys have had some really great questions. So I'm going to answer those during the Q&A, but as a quick little tease for them, the questions are: how am I planning to make motherhood more accessible? Am I scared to go off medication? Am I scared that I'll pass on a chronic illness? And what will I do? What's my plan if I get worse and end up having to be hospitalized and I am a mom? So if you want my off-the-cuff answers on those, go to our Substack this week. You'll find my answers. And now, because healing is not linear and life is literally ups and downs, the doctor's appointment with our family doctor was Thursday morning, and by Thursday evening, I was in the emergency room getting admitted. So buckle up. Time for the lore that is IVIG, baby. So as you guys know, I've been on IVIG for a year. I switched insurance carriers, joined Coop's insurance on Jan 1. Cooper, he did the Lord's work. He talked to them in December, made sure that there was a continuation of care policy so I could get IVIG easily in the new year. Our world's kind of a shit show right now, and insurance companies seem to be denying everybody left and right despite what their policies say, and that's exactly what they did to me. They said, no ma'am, we are denying outright your IVIG because we don't think it's medically necessary for you. To which I want to say, fuck you. I got a port, and I've been doing this for a while. It is medically necessary for me. But alas, that doesn't get you anywhere if you just yell at an agent. You catch more bees with honey. Always. So after lots of back and forth with my insurance company, from me, from my doctors, and from my infusion clinic nurses, we got nowhere. Thursday, I call my doctor and I'm like, we're stuck. We're between a rock and a hard place right now. I'm leaving for London in a week and some change for some family stuff. That is heavy, and I need to be feeling my best so I can be my best there for everybody. Insurance has denied my medication. I'm 3 weeks late for it right now, and I am not feeling super good, and I feel like it's escalating. I have gotten a nerve block scheduled for next week, which is now this week when I'm recording it, preventatively, but I don't think that will cover everything, so how do I get IVIG? And she said, and this might be the best kept secret about IVIG, you can get it administered in the hospital, even if your insurance company denied it outpatient. So, as luck would have it, I had a massive motherfucking pain spike. We went to the ER Thursday night, and I said, okay, so do I need to go today, or can I go tomorrow? And as I'm on the phone with my doctor, I'm looking at the clock, it's 3 p.m., which if you have gone to the emergency room before in a downtown area, because I live closest to the downtown emergency room, after 5 p.m., that place is the Wild West. It is unruly. You get pushed to the back because it's a trauma emergency room, meaning car crashes, overdoses, life or death things get prioritized over you, and that's where they all go. Also, to add to the drama, an ice storm was coming to Austin. And if you don't know much about Austin, we do not have an infrastructure that supports anything below 50 degrees and sunshine. So snow and ice shuts the city down. There is usually massive destruction to people's houses. We lose power, we lose utilities. There are huge injuries. People pass away. It's honestly really scary and not a fun snow day. And with that impending, my doctor and I are like, I kind of need to go now. And that was all supposed to start on Saturday, which meant if I got admitted Friday and got the IVIG and got that first dose of IVIG on Friday, had the second dose on Saturday, and the ice hit, I would be stuck in the hospital until Monday or Tuesday. And obviously my answer to that was, you know what? I'd rather risk it to get the biscuit and wait it out in the emergency room downtown starting today in hopes that I can be discharged and out of here before the storm starts. So Cooper and I threw our bags together. I washed my face. I was having pain building all day. And I think the second I saw the emergency room, my body's nervous system unwound and I just burst into tears. And I was like, this is 1, painful, 2, so fucking frustrating. Just to get the medication I have been on for a while. I have to jump through hoops. I have to go and advocate for myself with people that don't know me or my medical history. I have to spend an ungodly amount of time around people that have diseases and sicknesses that might get me sick with a compromised immune system. We'll call it what it is. It's not fair. But I feel very lucky that this workaround did work for me. And better than that, it was the smoothest ER I have ever experienced. There were 3 people in the waiting room. Never seen that before. Got into a bed very quickly. Got medication in my body to help with symptoms, pain, nausea, headache. So they were running some fluids. And I got admitted and into my hospital room all within 3 hours of arriving at the ER. It was I've never experienced that before. So we get to my room. So at this point, I look at Cooper and I say, we don't have anybody to watch the dogs. I need to learn and practice how to be here by myself and advocate for myself. Because when we have our little baby, I don't want her to have to come to the hospital with me every time. So I'm going to practice. I want you to go home. I feel okay. I've been sick for 25 years, which means I have had a lot of time to practice advocating for myself. I haven't had to do that, honestly, since the pandemic when Cooper just wasn't allowed to go with me to the ER or the hospital. So it'd been a minute, but I was ready for this challenge. And honestly, I just wanted to prove it to myself that I can do this and that I can handle juggling motherhood and chronic illness in some weird way that made sense in my brain. Anyway, Cooper went home. The night nurse comes. We start my IVIG. Quick side quest. The resident that helped us get from the ER room to the hospital room, her and I went through all my meds. We went through my IVIG protocol, including what brand I need, and I was very specific. I need Bivigam. Every other one makes me get incredibly ill. This is honestly like the most important part for me, and my pre-meds. She said, sure. We went through them. It was excellent. So when I got upstairs, I was expecting that, we went from point A to point B without any hiccups, but the hospital is a busy place. And as I was getting upstairs, there were some hiccups. My dose for IVIG is 2.1 grams per kilogram. So I get around 100 grams of IVIG. The script that was sent to the pharmacy read incorrectly, and they thought it was 100 grams of IVIG per day, not over 2 days. So overnight, my first night there, I keep seeing these huge IVIG bottles get hung on the pole thing. And I keep thinking, man, this seems like a lot of bottles of IVIG. Mind you, I'm in a Benadryl fucking haze and have some pain meds in my system. So I'm not really thinking that clearly, but I keep saying something to this nurse, like, can we double check that this dose is correct? Because this doesn't look right to me. She was a float nurse who had not administered IVIG before. So she's telling me it's 3,000 milliliters or something like that. And I'm like, no, that's not how I really know the dosing. I just know that I get 100, 105, 110, something like that. And we're not connecting the dots. It's like her and I are speaking 2 different languages. So I just say, okay, and I'm hoping for the best, honestly. Overnight, my administering IV thing beeps every 45 minutes. So I slept 0 that night, and she has to come in. Why was the machine beeping? Because there was consistently air in the line, which if you don't know this, air in the line when it enters your vein can actually kill you. So that is something that has to be taken very seriously. She would come in, get the air out of the line, and restart the infusion. Why did the air get in the line? There is a filter at the top of the IVIG bottle that you have to pop open so that when the bottle is being administered, all of those bubbles that come with IVIG go to the top of the bottle and not into your tubing. However annoying that was, that honestly saved my ass because it delayed the amount of IVIG I could get that night. Nonetheless, I still got 70 fucking grams of IVIG across 8 hours. And you know where this is going. Day shift comes in. I tell them my concerns. Day shift nurse goes, you know what? Let's just wait till the team rounds. The rounding team comes in and they have big eyes. They look at me and go, good job catching that dose mistake. That was wrong. We're going to correct course right now. So we stop the rest of that IVIG. I've got 35 more grams to go. They give me some fluids. We're on our merry way. However, the rounding team and I are in agreement. I need to try to finish this dose so I can get out of the hospital and be discharged before the storm hits. So we decide 5 p.m., which is 7 hours later, we'll be restarting the dose and I will get the rest of the 35 grams of IVIG. Looking back, I think that still was the right decision, but holy shit. I had the worst migraine. Again, thunderclap, ass cracking headache. Light bothered me, sound bothered me, but the worst was moving my head in any degree. So painful in my brain. And I had the pukes. Really fucking bad. Like pale, shaking, chills, just crying. But every time I cried, it would hurt my head. And then throwing up made my head hurt even worse. Oh, it was such a bad time. Honestly, one of the worst times I've had in quite a while. But Benadryl comes in and saves the day. When these kind of IVIG reactions happen, it's an allergic reaction to some degree. So your biggest friend is going to be Benadryl. For me, I was at the point where Zofran was not even touching anything, so Compazine, good old Compazine, did the trick. And thankfully, I had some of that at home from my last terrible time with IVIG. But I'm getting ahead of myself because one happy story came out of the hospital stay. 2 of the residents that rounded with the neurology team the morning after my 70-gram mishap were smiling and being really friendly with me, and I was like, wow, these are such kind young doctors. Well, after everyone left, the attending came back in my room and said, hey, did you speak to medical students last year? And I said, yeah, I did. I spoke to the med students last year here. And he said, well, there's 2 of my residents that actually were in that group that you spoke to, and they would love to meet you. We just had lunch with a bunch of residents we're recruiting, and they all follow your podcast, and they want to meet you. It was the coolest pinch me moment I have had yet for content creating and podcasting, and honestly made me think this podcast could make a change in how doctors understand the patient experience. And that made me so freaking happy. Not happy enough to not, forget about the terrible fucking headache and throwing up I was having, but happy enough that I still had a big smile on my face and honestly still smiling about it now. Did everything else go smoothly during this hospitalization? No. I did have to advocate for myself pretty hard on not just my IVIG dosing. I'll give you one guess on what it was. 3, 2, 1. Let's all say it together. Pain management. Yes, pain management. I take pain medications at home. When I'm in a flare, I take a breakthrough pain medication. In the hospital, in a lot of pain because of IVIG and a flare-up, one would think, okay, her home protocol, and let's also do that breakthrough medication. For some fucking reason, they were thinking either or. You can do your breakthrough only or your at-home only. And I said neither of those are going to cover the shitstorm that is going on in my body. I start crying. The doctor leaves the room. She comes back with the attending. I'm crying, and literally this doctor changed my trauma response that I have had for hospitalizations in pain management advocacy, hopefully forever. He looked at me dead in the eyes and said, I am not one of those doctors. I went into medicine to help patients, and seeing you in tears, seeing you in pain is not something I want, and we're going to make you feel better, but we need to have a discussion about this. And I said, okay. And I'm still crying, and I said, I want to give you background too. I have had so many terrible pain management experiences in the hospital where, because I don't look like the kind of person that's in pain. I have been living with chronic pain for over 25 years. So I have a rather stoic face when I am at a 9. I have such a bad headache right now. If I cry, I feel worse. So I can't cry. I have to be at this level of pain and not cry right now. And I can have a conversation with you because I'm used to living in these kind of excruciating situations and having to have these kinds of conversations. And he understood, gave me a tissue, helped me kind of clean up my tears, and talked to me like a human being. Talk to me about, okay, well, what is a reasonable amount of pain management that we can do in the hospital? This is what we usually do. What do you usually do? And that open dialogue fixed something in my soul. Because now I think my next experience, I'm not going in with only these terrible experiences of doctors gaslighting me about pain, denying me even my at-home treatments, or blatantly thinking I'm exaggerating. Finally, I had a doctor that believed me and wanted to help me. And I think going forward, I'll have a new sense of calm if there is a discussion around it instead of immediately feeling triggered and going into a trauma response. So I guess all in all, it was a terrible hospitalization, but there were 2 bright spots. And those 2 bright spots actually meant a lot to me, more than I could possibly articulate and describe, because they're things that are healing to me on the inside. I know I've been keeping you on your toes. I did get discharged before the ice storm hit. And so Cooper got me home. I crawled into bed, took a Compazine, passed out at 11 a.m. and woke up at 5 p.m. Was awake for all of maybe an hour. Had a little bit of food. Was very scared to eat. Went back to sleep. Woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning in fucking so much pain because the snow, ice, lightning storm started happening in Austin, Texas. Yes, you heard that right. Lightning plus ice and snow. We get weird fucking weather down here. Thankfully, we got through that. Sunday was a recovery day. I did end up doom scrolling in the morning and ended up crying all day because of looking at what's on social media right now. But Monday and today, I'm starting to feel more in my body, more like me again, and a little sense of relief physically. Most definitely not mentally. Physically, thank goodness. Do I still have a headache? Yes. But not to the extent that I had before, so I feel like I can manage through it. Which means I got the shit done that I needed to get done so that hopefully I will have more spoons and less pain when we fly over the pond this weekend. I am curious though. I wonder if my insurance company is using some form of AI to approve, deny medications, and that's why all of us are having a fuckery right now. I saw one article, don't quote me, it was on social media, and by article I mean it was a Square post. Apparently in Utah, they are now using AI to approve or deny medications and prescriptions, specifically for chronic illness patients. Don't hold me to that one. No idea how valid it is or true, but I read that headline and I wanted to share it with you guys so we could yap about it. Do we think AI will make this better? Do we think that's what's happening with all of our insurance shit happening so far this year? And 2, do we think AI will make it better or worse? I'm in the camp of saying AI is going to make this all much worse before it makes it better. And candidly, I don't know if it will ever make it better. It is the human conversation that is so important and critical in medicine. So while AI can be totally helpful in some spaces and areas of medicine, I do not think approving or denying medications is the job and responsibility of AI. Leave your opinion in the comments. Anywho, I got my spoons and ducks in a row, so I'm going to London town on Saturday, and Sweet St. Coops is coming with me just in case I flare, so I'm nobody else's problem in a city I don't know where it's harder to take care of just me. He's going to come with, so we can navigate that together, and I'm very grateful about that. As I said at the top of the episode, this is the first time I'm traveling internationally while not feeling my very best, so I'm doing things to help make this more successful. I am traveling with my PEMF mat by Higher Dose, which you guys know I literally swear by for pain management. That's going to be packed in my very large suitcase that will be going with us. I'm wearing all the compression, thank you Elastique, in Comrad. I am bringing constipation supplements. I'm bringing energy supplements. I am bringing supplements like Xanax, all the different things so that all of my bases are covered while we're there. And I can be in my best form so that I can take care of my loved ones too. I also have blocked off the entire first 24 hours we're there so I can sleep. And I'm going to an infrared sauna because there is nothing that helps you with jet lag quite like an infrared sauna. Do I know the science of why? No. Will Google or ChatGPT tell you? Yes. And when you find out, feel free to share it with the class. But other than that, we are back to regular scheduled programming. I have been trying to be on my phone less because it makes me very sad right now, and I am trying to spend a lot of time touching grass, telling my loved ones I love them, and using my voice where I can, how I can, in a way that is still safe for me and my family and loved ones. And in case you need permission on it, crashing out is absolutely okay right now. It is good for your nervous system. If you didn't catch last week's episode with Dr. Sula Wildeson, it's good to have that emotional cathartic release. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed and like you're about to overflow, let yourself overflow. You will feel slightly better afterwards, I promise. And if you need a partner to do it with you, just DM me because I'm sure I'll be ready to have a crash out with you too. I have been putting off packing still, and as you guys know, St. Coops. Get stressed when I do that, so I need to get to it. But before I do, my one brain cell show is SNL. It is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I love the hosts. I love to see what they do as a content creator who makes a new piece of content literally every single day. It fascinates me how these writers and comedians get together to build an A+ program throughout a week to deliver it every Saturday. And it's something that I would love to see live one day. That's big time on my bucket list. The funniest thing about how we watch SNL though, I don't usually love the musical guest, and so typically we fast forward through that to just watch the comedy sketches or the Weekend Update, which I find to be hilarious. My favorite thing of SNL is how topical they keep it. They're able to find light, hope, humor amidst chaos, and the way that they're able to do that and plant seeds in our brains to think about things maybe differently is honestly, it needs to be studied. It's so well done. My favorite host of all time is probably Timothée Chalamet, which is not what most people would expect me to say, I don't think. When he is released in the wild to just be the goober that he is, my God, the man is just hilarious. Him and Pete Davidson's skit where they are just unhinged rapping together will always uplift my mood. And it's the one thing I have saved on my phone for when I need a little pick-me-up. Those episodes just bring me so much joy, so much laughter. I do watch those on repeat, which is not something I do very often. So if you've not seen it before, or you've never watched SNL before, start with their episodes. And feel free to fast forward through the musical part because it's not always the best. And I don't know if you guys can hear my stomach growling, but it has been quite talkative this entire episode. Be interesting if it is picked up on my microphone. It's the co-host of this week's episode. I need to go do something about that. I'm so fucking hungry. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.